From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Thursday, March 24th. A cooler, soggy day, lots of cloud cover with isolated to scattered shower chances. Highs only top out in the mid-40s. It's going to be breezy, too. IMPD is asking for your help finding a 6-year-old boy they say was abducted by a woman. Horlebin's Charles was last seen on Friday. Police say Florine Fenelon abducted him from the boy's home on Ellis Drive near I-465 and State Road 36. IMPD says Fenelon is not related to the boy and took him without the boy's father's permission. Police say Charles is 3'8" with black hair and brown eyes. He was last seen wearing a black jacket, black pants, and black shoes. Police describe Fenelon as 5'5" with black hair and brown eyes. She was last seen driving a 4-door blue Kia. Anyone with information on Charles or Fenelon is asked to contact IMPD. To I-Team 8 now, an IMPD officer is facing termination, charged with growing marijuana in her home. Police say they were called to the home where Christina Slack lives with her boyfriend for a domestic disturbance. When officers got there and went inside, they say they found 18 pot plants, a pipe to smoke pot, and what they believe to be psychedelic mushrooms. Slack is a 22-year veteran of the department. Neighbors say she and her boyfriend moved in about a year ago, and one neighbor at least saw them pretty recently.
And that's the last time I've seen him. And then I seen her burning some stuff in the back, but that's about it after that.
IMPD declined I-Team 8's request for an on-camera interview. They did give a little information, though. IMPD says Slack is suspended with a recommendation for termination. Slack and her boyfriend are due in court April 26th. Even though handgun permits will not be required in Indiana soon, experts say there is good reason to have one. News 8 met with licensed firearms instructor Blake Kaiser to get answers to some common questions prompted by the new permitless carry law. He points out that it's not a free pass to have a gun everywhere because they're still banned in government buildings and schools. Felons are still not allowed to buy guns, and the state will keep issuing permits even though they're not mandatory. Kaiser says it's worth having one.
Because if you do, you don't have to worry as much about traveling from state to state. Whereas with constitutional carry, there's a little bit more worry there. You're definitely going to want to make sure that that state will accept your constitutional carry status from Indiana.
Kaiser recommends taking a training course. He's planning to start one soon to highlight changes to the law. The permitless carry law goes into effect July 1st. To the war in Ukraine, the first of 3 emergency summits between President Biden and Western allies is open. Biden is meeting with NATO leaders this morning. They all posed for a group photo before heading behind closed doors. Leaders are focused on increasing pressure on Russia while alleviating the economic fallout spreading across Europe and the world. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will address the NATO summit by video. He says he'll ask for effective and unrestricted support, including any weapons his country needs to fend off Russian attacks. Biden will also meet with the G7 and the European Union today. He's set to hold a news conference by the end of the day. And today marks 1 month of war in Ukraine. The U.S. is now formally accusing Russian forces of committing war crimes.
Numerous credible reports of hospitals, schools, theaters, etc., being intentionally attacked. The United Nations and other credible observers have confirmed hundreds of civilian deaths, and we believe that the exact civilian death toll will be in the thousands.
The war crimes claim marks a significant step in the conflict. For weeks, U.S. officials have declined to formally use that phrase. Secretary of State Antony Blinken says America will pursue accountability with every available tool, including criminal prosecution. The head of Indiana's high school sports governing body is praising Governor Holcomb for vetoing the transgender athlete bill. IHSAA Commissioner Paul Nadig says that protecting the integrity of girls' sports is a worthy cause, but that the bill unfairly addresses a single gender. He says the association's current policy is flexible enough to consider competitive advantages case by case. Holcomb vetoed the bill earlier this week. It would have prevented transgender girls from playing girls' sports in school. Holcomb says the bill does not provide a consistent statewide policy. Republican leaders say that they'll call lawmakers back to the State House May 24th for a possible override vote.
Our official found Brittany Griner to be in good condition, and we will continue to do everything we can to see to it that she is treated fairly throughout this ordeal.
U.S. officials get a brief visit with American basketball star Brittany Griner, currently in jail in Russia. Officials from the U.S. consulate in Moscow met with Griner and her Russian attorneys Tuesday morning. Russian authorities say they arrested Griner last month at the Moscow airport for having cannabis oil. She faces up to 10 years in prison. New York City will end its vaccine mandate for athletes and performers. The move will allow Brooklyn Nets star Kyrie Irving to play home games. Irving is unvaccinated and among the more high-profile people to be impacted by today's move. He rejoined the Nets in January, but only when the team played games out of town. New York City Mayor Eric Adams says a loophole makes the current vaccine mandate unfair to athletes and performers because it allows unvaccinated people from other states to still play or perform in New York. The mandate will still apply to government employees. The leaders of 10 airlines and cargo carriers are urging President Biden to end the transportation mask mandate. The CEOs of American Airlines, Delta, United, and others signed a letter making their case. They contend the mask and test requirements are no longer aligned with the realities of the current environment. The director of the CDC spoke about what goes into such decisions.
We look at hospitalizations for COVID-19. We look at hospital capacity. And importantly, we also look at cases. So all of those go into the formulation as we use those metrics for future guidance.
The White House extended the mask mandate to April 18th. Today, legal experts and civil rights organizations will testify about Ketanji Brown Jackson's ability to be a Supreme Court justice. Senators are moving closer to confirming Jackson. A vote is set for April 4th. The Senate Judiciary Committee has finished questioning in her confirmation hearings. The second day of questions saw several Republican members of the committee criticizing Jackson's decisions in criminal cases. Democrats kept up their defense of the nominee, including a comment from Cory Booker, which drew a quietly emotional response from Jackson.
And I want to tell you, when I look at you, this is why I get emotional. I'm sorry, you're a person that is so much more than your race and gender. You're a Christian, you're a mom, you're an intellect, you love books. But for me, I'm sorry, it's hard for me not to look at you and not see my mom, not to see my cousins, one of them who had to come here and sit behind you. She had to have your back. I see my ancestors and yours. Nobody's going to steal the joy of that woman in the street or the calls that I'm getting or the texts. Nobody's going to steal that joy. You have earned this spot. You are worthy. You are a great American.
Booker chastised his Republican colleagues, calling their treatment of Jackson a new low. The White House is trying to end racial bias in home appraisals, a problem News 8 uncovered in Indianapolis. News 8 first told you about Carlette Duffy about a year ago. She made national headlines after getting 3 appraisals on her home. The first came in $149,000 less than the final one, which she staged with a white friend standing in for her. Vice President Kamala Harris says the goal of the 21-point action plan is to advance equity nationwide.
Appraisals are meant to be fair and objective estimates of the market value of a property. There's a lot that rides on that estimate. But far too often, for far too many people, they are not fair and objective. Research has repeatedly shown that Black homeowners are more likely to have their homes undervalued than other homeowners.
The plan includes implementing new policies to improve the appraisal process, addressing potential bias, and developing a legislative proposal to modernize the appraisal industry. The National Weather Service says a tornado that hit a suburb of New Orleans carved an 11-mile path with winds of 136 miles an hour. The twister killed at least one person and left massive damage. There are new satellite pictures out which shows the neighborhood before and after the tornado barreled through. It is devastating. Authorities say dozens of homes have damage. Crews are working to restore power and clean up the debris. Similar work is happening in Texas. The state's governor has signed a disaster declaration to help speed up recovery efforts. One person was killed and several more are in the hospital. Ford is recalling thousands of vehicles. The National Highway Traffic Safety Administration says nearly 200,000 vehicles could be affected by a brake fluid leak. They include F-150s from 2016 to 18, Expeditions from 2016 to 17, and Lincoln Navigators from 2016 to 17. Ford says a loss of brake fluid could reduce brake pedal function. According to Ford, at least 4 low-speed accidents have happened as a result. No serious injuries have been reported. A spring break hotspot has a new curfew. The new rules are starting this morning in Miami Beach, Florida. City leaders say overnight crowds have been too much for authorities to handle. Shootings have wounded 5 people, and the police department says 9 officers have been injured trying to keep the peace. The mayor asked for the move Monday. Last night, city commissioners unanimously approved it.
We don't ask for spring break. We don't promote it. We don't encourage it. We just endure it. And frankly, it's not something we want to endure. We don't want spring break.
The curfew started this morning. It runs from midnight to 6 each morning. Flags are at half-staff to honor the life and legacy of former Secretary of State Madeleine Albright. That includes here in Indiana, as Governor Eric Holcomb requested everyone to lower flags until sunset on Sunday. Albright's family says she died yesterday of cancer. She became the first female U.S. Secretary of State in 1996. She was the face of U.S. foreign policy in between the end of the Cold War and the War on Terror, starting after the September 11th attacks. Former President Barack Obama awarded her the Medal of Freedom in 2012. Albright was 84 years old. The Indianapolis Zoo kicks off spring with its Exuberant Spring Festival today. It starts at noon. There'll be live performances, spring-related activities, and, of course, the animals. It's a 4-week event. It's a lot of fun. You can enjoy the Exuberance Festival with the general admission ticket to the zoo. It's free for zoo members. And it runs every Thursday through Sunday through April 17th. And as always on Thursdays, we are joined by Gary Dick with Inside Indiana Business on Daybreak. Here's a look at that conversation.
The sure sign of the season, spring brings out home buyers in Indiana, and it's our top story in our partnership with Inside Indiana Business and the IBJ.
The host of Inside Indiana Business, Gary Dick, is with us this morning, as he is every Thursday.
Yep.
A couple of problems that potential home buyers are facing right now.
Yeah, and we're going to look at busy home buying season and selling season, rising mortgage rates. It's going to be an issue here for the next several months. We'll look at how far that might go up. But an interesting red flag, Realtor Greg Cooper is going to be on the show talking about homeowners insurance with the value of homes rising a lot in recent months and the cost of construction obviously rising a lot, inflation. A number of homeowners are falling short on their homeowners insurance. Cooper tells me he's had 2 homeowners who've had devastating fires, total loss of their home. To rebuild their home, it's costing them $60,000 to $90,000 more than they're insured for. So it's a big red flag that a lot of homeowners aren't seeing. So we're going to talk about that, what homeowners need to really keep an eye on.
You're also doing a story about a company, great name for it, by the way, locally based, that is capitalizing on, I think, a change that's really pandemic-oriented in remote learning and what that allows people to do.
Yeah, no question about it. Make my move, not make my day, make my move. And it's an Indianapolis-based company, startup company. A couple of entrepreneurs did it, and it's to really capitalize on this craze of remote workers. Remote workers obviously can work anywhere. Cities, towns, states all over the country, including Indiana, really trying to capitalize. We'll talk with one person, a remote worker who has moved from Tampa to Bloomington because of that, because of Make My Move. They got online, they checked it out. We'll talk to them about why they made the move. And why this is really a trend. Bloomington is really cashing in. A number of remote workers have picked up stakes, again, from Tampa, from California, from Mexico, around the country, and moved to Bloomington. And there are other examples, too.
Okay, so what else is coming up Sunday on Inside Indiana?
Jam-packed show. We've got, again, more on the housing industry, rising interest rates, the impact here. Allison Transmission continues to innovate. A really cool state-of-the-art innovation center on the west side will go inside. Also, the business of boutiques for babies and kids around the state is really a booming business. Also, our partners at the IBJ, this is a list everyone always looks forward to. The 40 under 40 list comes out on Friday. We'll touch on that. The former AT&T building in downtown Indy, now apartments, and rural hospitals, a number at risk of closing. So we'll take a look at that as well.
And finally, this morning, the Purdue Boilermakers are in Philadelphia for practice ahead of the team's Sweet 16 matchup. Sports director Anthony Calhoun is with the team as it gets ready for St. Peter's.
Hey, thanks a lot. We are here at the team hotel where Purdue basketball team will be staying here in Philadelphia as they get ready for the Sweet 16 matchup coming up on Friday. And I tell you what, I packed my bags for 5 days because I expect Purdue to have a great showing here this weekend as they try to make a run to the Final Four. They're in the Sweet 16 for the 4th time in the past 5 years, but they're taking on the Cinderella of the NCAA tournament, St. Peter's, just down the road, 90 minutes away from Philadelphia, as they get ready to play on Friday here in this Sweet 16 matchup. Purdue knows it is a huge opportunity for the program. They come in 12-point favorites on Friday night against the Peacocks. Wish TV, we were here on Wednesday evening when Matt Painter and his team arrived here to their team hotel. Of course, feeling very confident. Got to get 2 wins this weekend to get in the Final Four for the first time since 1980. Coach Painter told me his team better be ready.
We're just, locked in more than anything. Not really worried about whether it's the Sweet 16 or the second round or the Elite Eight or anything like that. Just, focusing on St. Peter's and just staying on your schedule. Like, don't get away. Like, we all like our schedule to be set as people and as professionals. And that's what we try to do, is just get locked into our schedule and get ready.
I'm super hungry, man. This is what you live for. This is you put in all that work, and you develop as a player, you mature. For times like this, man. Like I said, we've had a lot of guys that's been through it. Guys that lost first round. Everybody's been through it, man. They know what it feels like to lose. So, man, I told them just, let's not feel like that. Let's stay away from that feeling. And let's keep, having fun and winning games.
So Purdue back in the Sweet 16 for the first time since 2019. They'll practice on Thursday here in Philadelphia around 12:50 in the afternoon. And then, of course, they'll get ready for that big matchup coming up on Friday, tip time around 7:09 against the Peacocks of St. Peter's. Of course, we'll be here every step of the way as Purdue gets ready for the Sweet 16. Anthony Calhoun, Wish TV, wishtv.com, and be sure to follow us on Facebook.
This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand for even more on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening, and be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.